Hello, today I'll be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Maximal Leo Prime, or Lio Convoy. So I believe this character is from Beast Wars 2nd. I don't watch that show, it's a Japanese show, so that's how I think I've heard people pronounce his name, but I myself would pronounce L-I-O as Leo. So there's this packaging, typical Legacy Evolution packaging. I myself am not a fan of this packaging, so I hate the open window and the angles are kind of weird. So let's open them up and check them out. So he comes with this typical caution paperwork and his instructions. So here he is in his cardboard insert. His weapons are on the bottom, and there's nothing in the back except for his back kibble sticking through the back of the packaging. So let's cut him loose so we can take a look at him. This is probably easier with the scissors, but I don't want to go get another tool. So here he is, free from his cardboard insert. Looks pretty good. He has a lot of giant animal kibble parts, but that's not unexpected. The paint looks very nicely applied. I do like the Beast Wars show, but I'm not really a fan of the Beast Wars concept or the Beast Wars toys usually. I think that robots transforming into biological animals is a little bit strange, but I really like the look of this figure, despite having the animal parts hanging off him. I don't like these animal feet. I prefer my robots to look like robots. So let's take a closer look at him. Very nice looking head sculpt in my opinion. Nice paint apps. Can rotate 360. You can look down a good amount. Can't really look up that much. He's got a good side tilt, which is really nice. His shoulder articulation is hindered by the shoulder piece. They can rotate up this far. And it's the same with the other side. His arm can go out this far, pretty much 90 degrees. And he's got a bicep swivel and elbow bends only 90 degrees. Nothing at the wrist. It can bend down like this for transformation, but I'm not going to count that. There's no ab crunch, but the waist can rotate 360. And his leg can kick up this high, pretty much 90 degrees. It can go out a little bit further than 90 degrees. His knee bends 90 degrees. There's a thigh swivel, and he has this ankle swivel for transformation, and a very deep ankle tilt. So he has really good articulation, but for me, articulation is only as good as the poses that you can get him into. So let's see what poses we can get him into. I think that a good action figure should be able to get into a kneeling pose. So let's see if we can get him into a good kneeling pose. That looks like a really solid kneeling pose to me. So another pose that is nice to have that's similar to the kneeling pose is the superhero landing pose. So let's see if we can get him into that pose. It's not quite there. Let's see if I can get it to look better. That's a little bit better. Not bad. I think I'll give it a pass for this pose. So another standard pose that I like to use is the walking pose or running pose for my photos. So usually to pull off a good walking or running pose, it'd be nice if the figure had upward toe tilt, which this figure does not have, but it seems to be able to balance pretty well. So I'm going to say that that's a pass for this pose. And he can do the Van Damme splits. And I think I forgot to show how far back his leg can bend, but it can bend all the way back. So we can do this front split as well. And he can do a side kick. And just for fun, let's see if he can do a handstand. So you can actually fold back this shoulder kibble to get it out of the way. That's okay, but he's kind of cheating by using that shoulder kibble for balance. Maybe we can fold down the fists here to give him more balance on those forearms, and maybe he can hold himself up by his forearms. It's a little bit tricky finding the balance point. Hey, not too bad. So another pose I like to do is the wide action stance pose. He has really deep ankle tilt, so I think he should be able to pull off a really wide stance. His shoulder cable makes him a little bit back heavy, but because of his big feet, and he has a good heel spur, and his wide ankle tilt really helps him plant his feet very flat on the ground, so it helps the pose a lot. And as expected, he can do a very wide stance. So one last pose. I know this is taking up a lot of time on the video, but I really love to pose my figures. This is kind of a jumping down punch from above. I think this would look good on a stand. For accessories, he comes with 2 pairs of teeny guns. There's these two, they look the same. And they have a tab on the bottom to tab into certain places on the figure. They're just molded in this mustard yellow plastic. No paint at all, pretty underwhelming. And he has these other yellow guns, which are similar to the other ones, except for they have a peg so that he can hold them. Pretty similar to the other ones, nothing spectacular. And you can just peg them into his fist as per usual. So you can fold down these side pieces on his arms, and there's a slot that you can peg the guns into. But actually these slots are meant for the guns with the tabs. This is for the Evo Fusion gimmick. I'm not even sure what that means, but you can peg these weapons into the side of his arms. And then you can put his other weapons in his fists. And you can fold down his lion legs here in the back. and then pull out this piece here and rotate it around. And do the same for the other side. And that's his evil fusion gimmick, whatever that means. So I think I had this back piece transformed wrong the whole time. I think it should be rotated around. Yeah, that does look slightly better. So just to verify in the instructions, it does look like that's the correct transformation. So there's another configuration for the weapons where you can put them on his lion head. So you can fold out the top of this lion head, and there are 2 slots that you can peg the weapons with the pegs into. So then he can have this configuration for those weapons. For the other weapons with the tab handles, you can tap them into the slot here. And there's one on the other side. So now the lion head looks like it has extensions or hair clips. You can have that look if you want. So you can also keep those top weapons here for storage. Just fold it down and they'll be hidden out and out of the way. And for the other 2 weapons, you can also store them underneath this back piece here. There are 2 slots that you can tap the weapons into. It's a little bit tricky. It's a bit of a pain. You just have to try to get it in there flat. So you want to push it in as far as possible so that the weapons lay flat like this. He also has a non-removable matrix. You can open this panel here on his chest. Looks okay, I guess. Nothing special, but it's nicely painted. Maybe if you know the character better than I do, you might appreciate it more. Speaking of nice paintwork, that Maximal symbol looks pretty nice. Just overall, I really like the design of this front chest area. It reminds me a little bit of a fire convoy. Let's get him transformed into his lion mode. First, you want to pull out this lion head. Then just get these lion legs out of the way. And then you want to rotate these shoulder pieces back. And then rotate this back piece around so that the lion head goes to the top. Then you can fold the fist up. And then what you want to do is you want to open these chest pieces. Fold them out and then lift them up. Then fold down the head. And then this front piece here folds down, and you can rotate it and then push it back in. Then fold these chest plate pieces up and then rotate them in. But what you also want to do is you want to get this piece here. There's a slot here, and you want to tab that slot into this tab here. So when you're rotating that chest plate in, you want to tab this piece in as well. There's probably a better description for this, but I just finagle the piece until that slot is in a configuration where I can tab it in and rotate the chest plate piece in at the same time. Try to get these lion legs out of the way. It's a little bit tricky, but it's got nothing on the complexity of some of those masterpiece transformations. So once you have those red arm pieces tabbed in, it's pretty easy to tab these chest plate pieces together. So just rotate out the front lion legs and the front part of the lion is pretty much transformed. So for the lion back, you just shift these pieces into place and tab them in. Something's not right here. Should be tabbing in much better. Oh, I forgot to pull out the tail. So what you need to do first is actually you need to pull out the tail. So once you have the tail pulled out, the back tabs in much more easily. And for this hind leg, what you want to do is rotate it at the thigh, and then rotate the ankle, and then bend it at the knee here, and then rotate it back, and it should snap into place. And here he is, fully transformed into his lion mode. Looks pretty decent, but you can obviously see some robot parts, so it's not completely convincible as a robot in disguise. You can manipulate the legs in some ways, but they're not really good action poses or anything. You can move the front legs a little bit like that. But again, I don't know if you're going to do any good poses with it. The head looks okay. His mouth can open, but it's not menacing at all. It's like he's surprised. Oh. And there's no articulation in the head at all. And the tail moves. And here's how he looks underneath. You can see some robot parts. Oh, I forgot to fold in the heel spurs. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for lion mode. And that's going to be it for this video. You can also follow me on Instagram at VTF_plus to see other pictures that I post. They usually go up before any YouTube videos because they're much easier to post. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.